And welcome to Delaware Live Sports. I'm Benny Mitchell. With me, of course, Trey Mitchell, as we get ready to start off our season with the Pigskin picks. And tonight, Twitter feels back from last year. Twill, middle of the pack last year. Marty Sheehan was tough to catch with the one loss. Sorry, folks, we got a little late getting started this year, having babies and Thursday games. And so let's get ready to rock and roll on week 2. So let's start off with a game that's being played. Probably going to kick off in about 45 minutes. So this game will be over by the time you see this broadcast. It's going to be tonight or Thursday night, Dover and Appoquinimink. You can watch this game on Delaware Live Sports with Pat Garians on the call. Trey Mitchell, who do you got in this game?
Oh, well, it's a headline matchup between Jaquan Kilby and Daniel McConaughey. They're two of the top running backs in Delaware. They're both electric. They're both exciting. So it's going to be a good game. Obviously going to use those two guys. Dover's in the state finals last year, so I'm going to lean on Dover here.
Bill.
Yeah, this is a match of two explosive trios right now. Still got the Cosme, Kilby, and Parker trio from last year, and now you got the Run DMC and the Nielsen Hoff combination for Appo. Two big changes from last year. Chip Knapp took over as a offensive coordinator this year. He's calling the plays. I feel like last year was a lot of that Tecmo Bowl type offense: run left, run right, run up the middle with Kilby, and not enough Parker. And then you got Nick DeGotti over at Appo taking over as defensive coordinator because Pat Clark kind of joined the dark side there on the other side of town. So I don't think this is a good game for a new defense to still be learning. I got to go Dover.
I think Dover getting to the finals last year. Like you said, they got the trio back, and that trio is explosive. It's exciting. It's lightning in a bottle. I'm going to go with Dover to win. Last time Chip Knapp went to Appo, they lost. He said last night that's one of the things they want to check off, beating Appo on the road. So let's move to a Saturday kickoff at noon. It's the Milford Buccaneers and their new head coach, Jed Bell, against William Penn. Rare start for the William Penn Colonials. Trey, who do you got in this one? Or I'm sorry, for Milford.
Yeah, so William Penn, they finished 2-8 last year, but they're off to a 2-win start this year. They can quickly strike on both offense and on special teams, and they're pretty big up front. One concern is they did give up 27 points in their win over CR in the opener. And Milford's been impressive so far. It's Jed Bell's first year there. But like you said, they have a rare test on a Saturday afternoon game. And they're playing up a class. But that's a tough one for me. I'll take William Penn at home with that odd start there, that afternoon start.
Yeah.
William Penn had that hot start against CR, but watching that game from the second half of the second quarter on through the game, I thought CR won the rest of that game. They just had too much of a lead to try to come back on. I think it was Ryan White Taylor had 3 long runs, 70, 87, and 56. You got Milford has their own dynamic duo in the backfield of Charles Shorts and Denari Horsey. Jed Bell's a great coach. Kids buy in with him quick. They relate to him. Jed had the whole world believing he was going to regroup the IAA in just a couple months. Right. He gets everybody to buy in, and he gets it quick. I'm going with Jed Bell to pull off the upset with an early bus ride up to William Penn.
First week of the season, Twitter going with pulling an upset. So I agree. Jed Bell, he does get people to buy in. I think a concern is going to be the noon start and the size of William Penn. And that size can go both ways. Does it wear William Penn down? They played CR at 4 o'clock. They're going to be playing at high noon on Saturday. Or does that size wear down the Milford Bucks? I think this could be a close game, and it's on the road. It's just a weird noon start for Milford, and that's going to lean me towards the Colonials. I said William Penn wins this game. We'll move on to another noon game, and that's going to be, again, also in Newcastle County, as Woodbridge visits Glasgow Dragons. Trey, who do you got in this?
Yeah, we got the home opener for the Dragons. I'm sure they're going to come out fired up and excited for first home game of the year. But Woodbridge is coming in hot. They just had a 52-12 win over Colonel Richardson over in Maryland, and they're fast, man. They got a lot of speed, and I think they're going to use that to get a win here. I'll go Woodbridge.
Bill.
Yeah, Woodbridge is back to putting up a lot of points. Unfortunately, Glasgow is not really putting up any points. I think they're going to probably struggle for the third straight week. And Monday afternoon practice, Marvin Dooley is going to drive that golf cart right down to the field, starting off 3-0.
Woodbridge, when you talk about speed, Trey, you got to talk about Jakari Banks, a 100-yard pick six last week, a 98-yard kick return to start the second half. And we haven't even mentioned Phil Risper or Quincy Risper or Tracy Johnson yet. Woodbridge has speed. We know what speed does. I take Woodbridge pulling away this one noon in South Newark.
Yep.
So we're going to move to interesting game here. At 6 o'clock Friday night, it's First State Military against Christiana. I think the game is at First State. First State, for the first time in any sport, has made the Delaware Live rankings. They're ranked number 5, I think, or 6 in Class Single A. Whole new turnaround, Trey. Tell us a little bit about what you think in this game.
Well, Christiana's got their numbers up. They're up to about 40 on the roster. I mean, that's how you get a rebuild. You start getting interested kids out there, get your numbers up, and that's awesome for their coach, Brian Wood. First State's coach, he brings 3 decades of college coaching, and he knows the state pretty well. He's coached at Wesley, he's coached at Del State. The Bulldogs had an overtime loss last week to an established Wilmington charter team. But I think they're going to improve on their 3 wins last season. I think First State gets it done here.
By the way, the house is not on fire. That's my grill. We throw a couple steaks on here in a minute. Go ahead, Phil.
Yeah, I'm with you. Coach has First State military kids believing in themselves. Nobody ever wants to lose, but when you lose by 3 in double overtime to a really good charter program, that's a win for that program. I'm going with First State.
Yeah, First State. Like I said, they're in the rankings. This is the first time for any sport for their school. They had an impressive first win week over AI, going into double overtime last week, as Phil said, taking the Bulldogs at home to get a win here. And that'll be win number 2 on the season. I think they only won 3 last year. So
yep.
Let's move to Friday night, 7 o'clock. Delcastle travels down to Cape Henlopen. Delcastle 0-1. Cape Henlopen 1-0. Trey, what do you got?
The Delcastle's challenging themselves, going up a division to play Cape at Cape. Cape held off a late surge from Red Lion in week 0. And Delcastle made a late surge against Sussex Tech last week, but fell a little short. I really think the Vikings are going to lean on Markai James here. I like the Vikings at home. I'm going to go Cape.
Winner.
Yeah, I hate to pick against my alma mater and Coach Galloway, but 2 weeks to prep. James is healthy. It's fresh. It's early in the year. I think he's just going to have a big day. They go with a win.
Delcastle got off to a slow start down at Sussex Tech, but they threw points on the board in the second half. This quarterback can throw the football. They've got athletes that can run it down. I think they caused some problems for Cape throughout the game, but I think I got to take the home team here. And these are must-win. I think these are must-win games for Cape. They start off with 3 AA teams to start the season. If they're looking for a chance to get in that top 8, I think they got to win all 3 of these. So this is a must-win game for Cape. It's at home. They're going to have a big crowd. Vikings win this one. Let's move to 3 really good games coming up here this week. The first of the 3 is 2-0 Lake Forest versus 1-1 Red Lion. Lake Forest is a little banged up, but nothing's been slowing them down. Trey, who you got?
It's a big early season game, 2 Class A teams. You got Red Lions quarterback going against Spartans, Jameer Snell in the secondary. So I'm sure there'll be a little gamesmanship there, throwing the ball, having to lean on the run a little bit. I think the winner of this game is an early step in the race to the state tournament. I'm going to lean on Red Lion at home for this one, since I know Lake Forest is banged up a little bit. I mean, I know they're still putting points up, finding ways to win, but I'm going to go with the home team here. I'm going to go Red Lion.
Oh.
Yeah, Red Lion's got a great young quarterback in Evan Budinger. But, I mean, Jameer Snell, he's the Lake Forest version of the Knight brothers right now. I mean, that kid.
All three of them.
All 3 of them. I mean, he can do it all. My God, was that boy fantastic last week. Phenomenal. His confidence is sky high. And Lake Forest is that classic next man up mentality right now with those early injuries. I think Lake Forest just keeps on rolling.
Yeah, Snell last week, 3 interceptions. Yeah, it wasn't even a matter of throwing near him; it was a matter of throwing, because he was finding ways to get to the ball. 3 pickoffs, including a pick 6. The kid is a phenomenal athlete. Lake Forest, Tyndall definitely out for most of the season, maybe the whole season with a broken leg. But he was there at the show last night, and he's going to provide great support and leadership. I think what it's going to come down to is at some point, Red Lion's going to have to run the ball. I don't
Yeah.
think Budinger can throw all night long. Not with a kid like Snell and the other defensive players. I'm actually going to go upset on the road. I'm going to Lake Forest Spartans win this one and move them 3-0. Here's a big one. Indian River and St. Elizabeth's big Class A game. You can watch this. Nick Alessandrini will have the call tomorrow night on Delaware Live Sports Live from the stadium formerly known as Baynard, Abyssinia. Trey, who you got in this Class A game?
Yeah, like you said, another big game here. St. E's is they've controlled this series the last few years, but their roster is getting a little depleted now after 2 state tournament runs. Indian River has only played about 12 minutes this year, but they've made that 12 minutes count. They put 28 up against A.I. DuPont. Like you said, St. E's won the last 3 matchups, but IR has numbers this year. I think this is Class A, right?
Yeah, they're both Class A.
I think Indian River is the only downstate school ranked in Class A. I think it's going to be Indian River's turn here. I'll go IR on the road.
Cool.
Yeah, unfortunately for St. E's, they're in that high school circle of life transition period where they lost so many players. I think I looked on the roster, they have 7 seniors out of the 30-ish on the roster. Indian River's my second home in the summer down there near Ocean View. Then you can stop being miserable. We're all moved up north now. We're back home. You can drive wherever you want to. You can go to Wild Wild without worrying about it. I'm going to Indian River here.
Indian River, big numbers out this year. They've been knocking on the doorstep. Got knocked out last year by St. E's. Got knocked out 2 years ago by Laurel. Both those teams were in the finals. Laurel winning 2 championships. Laurel moves out of the class. There's no Benson to run the ball for St. Elizabeth's right now, and I think Indian River ranked number 2 right now. I think you're going to see the Indians make the push for number 1 this year. They still got a Tatnall team they're going to have to get by, but I think Indian River is going to have the size, the numbers, and most definitely the will to win this year. I got Indian River in this game, and I got Indian River looking to maybe pull out a state title this year. Yeah. Let's move to our last game of our picks. It's our Friday night game of the week downstate. And it's going to be the Cesar Rodney Riders and the Laurel Bulldogs. Cesar Rodney 0-2 and Laurel 1-1. Laurel coming off 2 straight Class A championships. These 2 teams probably have not played since the 80s. So it's been a while since they played. Trey will not pick tonight because he is a CR employee. But Phil, you got this guy. I think this game could go a couple ways.
It's going to be close. I don't see this being a blowout. CR is buying in early. Coach Strickland's got them buying in. He's spreading them out. He's letting them be athletic. They're throwing it around. The kids last night on the show said they're having fun. They're emotional. That's a big deal for these young guys. When Laurel was in 1A, I said they can beat most of the 2A teams. Now they're in 2A and they look like they can beat some of the 3A teams. It's just too early in the seasons now. It's still Laurel. It's their first home game. That crowd's going to be ready to go. I think Laurel takes this one.
Yeah, Laurel, great run defense. One thing that concerns me about Laurel is they have been letting up the pass play for touchdowns. They let up 1 against Sussex Central, 3 last week against Class A Brandywine. So they've let up 4 touchdowns this year. Julius Timmons can throw the football. He throws it well, and he can throw it far. He's got some guys that can run underneath it too. And remember, it's only 2 weeks down. They haven't had they're just now getting into game speed. They're going to upset somebody along the line this year. I don't know who it's going to be, but once they start getting their timing down, watch out for these guys. I'm interested to see what Joey Jones does with his defense, because they will run 4 streaks at you. They'll run 3 streaks at you. Does he have the guys in the secondary that are going to be able to cover those lanes? And they got some guys that can get underneath and run. CR has struggled stopping the run. And so they're going to see ground and pound out of Laurel. You go back and look at Laurel's touchdowns. A lot of, inside the 10, they march the ball down the field and they'll stick it in. And they chew up a lot of time doing it. It's a tight one on the road. I think all Cesar Rodney has to do is start believing in themselves, find out who they are. But I just don't think this is the right opponent this early in the season. I'm going to take the Bulldogs at home to win this one, but I am not going to be shocked if Cesar Rodney pulls an upset here. But I will go with Laurel at home.
Yeah.
So far, Phil, we've seen a lot of Jason, we're seeing some things that teams we didn't think we'd see. What team right now is impressing you most?
It's Dover. Dover is my preseason. They played 2 out-of-state teams. I don't know anything about the teams that they played, but it's not even close. I mean, their offense is already clicking. They don't have that learning curve. There's not a whole lot of there's not a whole lot of new kids in that skill position. That's important. They're all return. They're all seniors. I mean, they're rolling. They are my preseason pick to be one of the 2 teams playing at the University of Delaware this year at the end. Hoping it's a rematch from last year. I think that's really the big difference between Dover and Smyrna this year is Smyrna lost a lot with graduation, where Dover and even Appo, they got older. They got that, that 1-year experience. You have a Smyrna quarterback, freshman and a senior, still competing to see who's going to win the job. Their 2 main receivers, sophomores. They lost 7 of 11 starters on defense. Smyrna's always a slow start to their season. But one big thing this year, Smyrna has Sally's, Appo, and Middletown all in a row. Then they have Dover waiting for them. The big difference this year is I think one of those teams is going to pull off, we'll say, the upset, because Smyrna's always, the sexy pick. But at the end of the year, whatever one of those teams beats them, if anybody beats them in the regular season, you got to beat this man, Ginger Jesus, twice, because most likely you're going to have to face him in the playoffs. And ever since he took over as head coach, no fully eligible team has ever done that.
Okay. Trey, who's caught your eye this year?
Well, my eyes have been pretty focused on this new one at home. But just from what I've seen, he made a good point, Twitter Phil. Dover's offense is clicking. Smyrna always impressed me, and it looks like Middletown is they're right, picked up right where they left off. So that those big 3, and I know Appo's right up there along too. But those big 4 and 3A, I know it's a cop out pick, but those big 4, I'm excited to see how they handle their business down the road.
Yeah, there's those top teams in 3A. And Chip Knapp said last night on the show, anybody can lose on any night in 3A here in Delaware. The teams are that close. I think the team that's
St. George's, I thought, was impressive last week. They were able to run the ball consistently. Started off a little bit slow, but that run game got going, and they were a force.
2 teams catching my eyes: Lake Forest and Laurel. Lake Forest is playing without their best running back and without their quarterback, and they're finding ways to win football games. Laurel stepping up from A. They took out. I mean, they were taking heat from the internet gang about them playing Class A, and it wasn't real football. Blah 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 blah. They were 4-0 last year in Double A. Now they've stepped up to Double A, and was Joey Jones? He's the junkyard dog. I'll fight you anywhere, anytime, any place. He signs up Sussex Central. He signs up Caesar Rodney, and they're in that Central game in the 4th quarter, and and then they beat Brandywine last week. I think they're going to take some losses along the line, but I think they're going to be in that top 8. And Lake Forest, I think the same thing. I think you're going to see those 2 teams definitely finding their way into the playoffs this year. So that's a wrap for our first week, even though it's week 2 of our Pigskin picks. Now we got everything together, a little more organized. Trey's got the baby on a schedule now, so we can get him on the. I think you said he was crying when we got ready to start the show.
Yeah, he's still figuring that schedule out, but we found a way to get it done.
I want to thank Trey. I want to thank Phil. Friday night kickoff. I'll have the Laurel Caesar Rodney game. Nick Allison, Greeny. We'll have the Indian River St. E's game up in Abyssinia. That's a wrap for folks. See you next week with 8 more picks here on Delaware Live Sports.